Hello, beautiful friends. I am Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I do this through one-on-one angel readings, which are beautiful. They are an hour in length, and we meet over the phone. I say a prayer blessing. I use some oracle cards, and then I will channel messages for you from the angels. It's meant to be a soul-inspired conversation, and my hope is that you feel more inspired and on purpose as a result of our time together. And then I also offer soul mentoring, which provides for ongoing, consistent support as you move through a passage of change or growth or transformation. And then I also offer a variety of classes designed to help you come into the brightness of your spirit. And you can learn more on my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, and I will send you an inspiring message every weekday. And then you can also find me on Facebook at Illuminating Souls, where I post every day. So lots of ways that we can connect. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you rest. I have been using sleep podcasts for years, and they are an essential part of my self-care routine. And that's what inspired me to create this for you. And to my surprise, many of you also use this during the day to keep you company. So that just delights me. And however you are guided to utilize this podcast, you have my blessing, whether you listen when you're wide awake or when you're drifting off to sleep. This broadcast is filled with love for you and gratitude for you. So as we get started with this episode, I should tell you, for the first time, I am re-recording an episode. I originally recorded this episode yesterday, and I was a bit off my game. I'm going to be richly authentic with you. I have been feeling very deeply about what has been transpiring this week. And I'm a human being with my own life experience and my own perspectives, and I feel life deeply through my heart. And that's appropriate, right? I get to have my human experiences just as you do. And yet, when I come into a sacred space where my intention is to hold space for others, it is really my intention to bring to you a crystal clear energy field where you can receive, that feels safe for you. And it's not that what I recorded yesterday was a hot mess. So if you didn't get a chance to hear it, you're not really missing anything. I didn't I didn't rail at the gods or lose it or anything like that. I just, as I went back and listened to the recording this morning, the space just didn't feel as clear as I would want it to be for you. There's not anything wrong with the episode, so if you listened to it, it's okay. I'm not recalling it or anything like that. It's just as I was laying in bed and listening to it, which is part of my ritual. I always try to listen to these episodes as a listener would. I was feeling a lot of my own stuff in it. And listen, there's a time and space for that. I get to have my stuff too. I think it's an important part of being alive on the planet to have our experiences and our reactions, and it's what we do. I love passionate people, right? And certainly in whatever way passion was ignited for you this week means you're alive and you're here. And yet I didn't want this episode to have to be about the details. How's that for speaking in code? So I got my shower download a little while ago, and those of you who know me know that the shower is often where I receive my divine inspiration. And I thought, I want to do over. I want to just record the first part of the podcast again. Because each episode has 2 segments. You may not have even realized that, but there's this first segment where I wax poetic with you and I call in the angels. And then I usually read or tell you a story. So the second part of the episode will remain intact, and just as a preview, I'm going to be reading to you from my angel journal. So I'm going to be reading to you from my own angelic wisdom that I received years ago. And I wanted to meet you in this space with a bit more spaciousness. So when I looked at my stats for this episode, there have only been 9 downloads since it released in the wee hours of the morning, and one of them was me. And I thought, well, here's the benefit of having a podcast with a small audience. I can have a do-over. So here we are, my friends. We are in the midst of a world that is changing rapidly. And it's been changing a lot over the last few years. I know that I am feeling wobbly, and perhaps you are too. And how would it be that for the next little while, we don't have to solve anything, and we don't have to have the answers, and we don't have to come into a state of balance just yet? Let the angels do that for us, huh? How would it be if we just sit around the fire of life and we watch the night sky together, and we let the loving come streaming into our hearts, where we can draw comfort and lay down our burdens, even if it's just for a little while, and we can receive. And that all that you are is welcome here. Just come as you are. Any pieces of you that might feel broken or exhausted, And also any pieces of you that are feeling the brighter frequencies too, right? I don't want to assume that you're feeling how I feel. You may be navigating some different waves, right? We're all having our own unique experience. You know, it's like looking through a kaleidoscope. Each of us views the world through our own unique perception filter. And I don't want to assume that I know what you are seeing right now through your perception filter. But I hold that however you are experiencing life right now, that you are holy and sacred, as am I, as is this space. So, how about if we gather together in friendship and love and community, and we all sit under the same starlit sky together? Even if it's just a metaphorical astral sky. And we tell each other our stories. And we eat astral s'mores. And we make our way through the night, because the dawn will come, the sun will rise, and a new day will come with new opportunities for us all. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath in and release, and allow the burdens of this day to melt away. Just leave them at the door. As the angels say, you can always pick them up again later. Or if your burdens feel precious to you, perhaps you can hand your burdens over to the angels, and they will bear them in your name. Because what feels heavy to you is likely as light as a feather to your angels. So you have permission to simply be here now and receive the love that is streaming to you. And if you are preparing for sleep, I invite you to cozy on up and snuggle on in. One of my favorite times of day is when I pull the blankets up and I pull them over my head. I'm one of those people who sleeps wrapped up in blankets and pillows. You know, the end of the day to me feels sacred. Means I've lived another day here on planet Earth. It's like I did it. Yay, I made it through another day. And my heart gets filled with gratitude. So you just keep breathing and listening to the rhythm of my voice, and know that you are in a loving, comforting space right now. That the angels and I are here to keep you company. We are here to help nurture you and help you to come into your center. And while you cozy on up, I'm going to call in the angels who are already here. So beautiful angels on high, thank you for this time together. I invite you to join us here, and I know you are already here. Angels, thank you for helping us navigate through these times of change. Thank you for helping to clear our energy fields through the heart of God, so that each of us can come more fully into divine alignment with our authentic hearts. Angels, I ask that you bring in waves of healing, waves of light, that I know that God knows what is in each one of our hearts right now. And whatever we are moving through, we are being met with love. Angels, I ask that you help us find our way, knowing that each of us has a unique path blessed by the divine. So to each of you listening, I bless your unique path. I am so deeply grateful for the light you are shining in this world. Thank you for the beauty of your heart. I know that it is not always easy to be one who feels life through your heart, but it is also a profound blessing because it means we get to feel the fullness of the beauty and the poignancy of this life. And I'm going to join you in taking some nice deep breaths in. And if you're waiting for me to say to breathe out, you just breathe out whenever you are ready. For some reason, I always say breathe in and I forget to say to breathe out, but fortunately, your autonomous nervous system knows to do that. So I'm asking the angels to wrap you in a bubble of soft pink light that is filled with divine love for you. And this love knows what you need right now. So just imagine, visualize, floating, if you will, in this bubble of light. And this bubble of light can expand to include anyone else you want to bring into it, or you can send them their own bubble of light. You can send this bubble to your animal companions, to your children, to your loved ones. And you don't even have to send it. You can ask the angels to send it. So I'll just ask the angels to send this love to everyone and everything that you love. How's that? And everything and everyone who loves you. So we will ripple these blessings of love far beyond this moment, bringing in soft, soothing vibrations to help you come into a place of rest. And just we'll breathe together. And I am so grateful for this sacred space where we can come together and just be together in the loving that is healing by its own essence has its own nature. That I acknowledge there's a lot of chaos happening, but in this moment we are in the peace. We're buffered against all that is transpiring. I think I've shared with you before that there used to be a spa I would go to in Santa Monica when I lived there. And they had a quiet room. So you would go into the locker room. I'm sure, they called it a changing room. I was like, I don't think they called it a locker room. They called it the changing room. And you'd put on a robe. And then you would go into the quiet room to wait for your appointment. The quiet room was dimly lit. And they seemed to space out the appointment so there weren't a lot of people in the quiet room with you. So my memory is often being in there alone or maybe with one other person. And then these very comfortable recliner chairs. And there was a water feature, a fountain. So there was the sound of a fountain somewhere and soft music and cucumber water. And just vibrationally, whenever I would go into the quiet room, I would feel a shift of energy. So let's go into the quiet room together. Let's just drink some cucumber water or whatever your beverage of choice is. And we'll look up at the night sky and let the world keep spinning the way it does. But it's okay to take a pause right now and rest. You can rest for a while. You can let it all go for a little while. And it's always amazing sometimes how a good expanse of rest and replenishment helps us to come into more clarity, more balance. So you enjoy this beautiful light and this healing and this comfort. And I'm going to be sharing some more angel stories with you. So I was noticing this week as I looked at the stats for the podcast that a few of the episodes that I've done where I talk about connecting with the angels seem to be performing better than some of the other episodes. And perhaps it's because just talking about the angels and connecting with them is what's needed right now. So I thought I would share with you some more about my journey with the angels. One of the stories I was going to share in the last episode about how I connected with the angels, or perhaps a better way to say it is how they connected with me. I shared with you about the author Sark and how she writes about the angels in a very whimsical, wonderful way. She writes about many other things. The angels were just a tiny tidbit of what she writes about, but something about it sparked for me. And I fell in love with her in all of her books. She is one of those authors who inspired my path. And there was a story I was going to tell and then I didn't, so I thought I would start by telling you this pretty cool story. So, somewhere around 2007, I think, somewhere around there, I found out that she was going to be teaching a small group class in Sonoma, which is near where we live. I was pausing because as of 2007, my husband had an apartment in this area and I was still living in Los Angeles. And we were traveling back and forth to be with each other. So that long pause was because I didn't really live here at that time. I visited here. So that was my mental calculations of that time. And I think it was a workshop about writing. It didn't matter to me what the workshop was about. I just wanted to be there. And friends of hers had this really cool property in Sonoma that was a geodesic dome. And it was going to be a small group. And that feels important because I think sometimes with the authors and teachers we admire, there might be large group events, which are wonderful, and this is especially pre-pandemic. But I've always found it to be a really beautiful experience to get to be in a smaller group with someone I've admired. So I immediately signed Wes and I up for the workshop. And it was wonderful. I seem to recall it was a 2-day workshop, a Saturday and a Sunday. And I can't tell you what we did in terms of, I didn't have any big ahas. It was a wonderful workshop though, but this is the part I want to share with you. So I think it was the afternoon of the last day. At the time, Sark had an oracle deck, I guess it would be called an oracle deck, out that had been published by Hay House. It was the Living Juicy cards. They're out of print, so they're no longer available, but they're wonderful. And what she did was she shuffled the cards, and then she went around to each person and went into the deck and picked a card and handed it to them. And I don't know about you, but there's always something so magical about that process. Yes, when someone draws a card for you. That's why I love drawing cards for people. There's like this portal of magic that opens. And so when she gets to me, she goes into the deck and she pulls out a card and she hands it to me. And this is what it says. Oh, beauty, your angel lives inside of you. And then there's a drawing of an angel. And I gasped when I saw it. I don't know at that point that she knew what I did. Like, I don't know that I don't know. I don't even remember, but she pulled the angel card out of her deck this was like one of the only angel cards in the deck, because others were about napping and writing and your creative process. And so she handed me this card that said, oh, beauty, your angel lives inside of you. And I just gasped and probably laughed in a crazy way. And it was such a magical experience. And then the other side of the card says, open all your doors and let love in. So another cool Sark angel story for you. And you know what's interesting is I wanted to share this in that last episode I did about the angels. And I knew I had kept the card and tucked it somewhere special, but I couldn't find it. Where I thought it was, I had a couple other Sark cards. So I started doubting the story. I was like, did that really happen? Because my memory sort of is very abstract in how I weave things together in my long-term memory. And it was one of those moments where I felt like I needed the card as evidence that this happened. And so as I was preparing for this episode, I thought I would read to you some of the writings from the angels from my own journals, which I haven't told you about yet, but I will. But as I opened my angel journal, this card was in it. And I was so happy. I thought, see, it happened. It really happened. And this is, of course, I put the card in my angel journal. That makes perfect sense. So now I get to tell you that story from that workshop with Sark. And I now also get to tell you about my angel journal. And I will tell you the angels are here because I am all of a sudden so hot in the blanket fort. Lots of energy moving through. So those of you who have been with me for a long time have heard me talk about my angel journal before. But I will tell you the story again because it's wonderful, and my hope is it might inspire you to start your angel journal as well. So I was a big journaler at the time, again, inspired very much by Sark's writing. She writes in bright colors and hand letters her books. And so for years I had been also writing in my journals in bright colors. So never with a black or blue pen. I always have had lots of colored pens, and part of my ritual is choosing what color to write. And so I'd been keeping journals for a very long time. And one day, and I seem to recall it would have been in early 2005. So by this point, I had been through USM and was a few months away from going to Glastonbury for my angel therapy practitioner training. And I received this download from the angels. And they invited me to begin journaling with them. They said that to keep journaling my laurel journals, as they called it, and I'll share with you what my process was for journaling at the time. I would take my shower in the morning before I would go to work, wrap myself in a towel, and then lay on my bedroom floor. My floor was carpeted at the time. And I would lay on my bedroom floor. I would select an oracle card. I may have had angel cards by that time. And before I got my angel cards, I was using the Osho Zen Tarot deck, which I love. And then I would journal about whatever was on my heart. And sometimes the angels would come through and a message of inspiration and love would come through. So it's not that I hadn't written angel messages before my angel journal, but they would get scattered in with my other messages. So in my journaling, I would sometimes write my laurel stuff. There would be messages from God, from the angels. But this is what was going to be different about the angel journal. They said, so you'll have your laurel journal where you do your writing as you're doing it now. And then we want you to go and buy a really beautiful journal. Go get one of those special journals that has the handmade paper. Make it special. And then after you finish writing in your laurel journal, close it and open your angel journal and make space for us to write you a letter of love or encouragement or guidance. And do this every day. And it was such a lovely invitation. And there was a Borders bookstore across the street from my office in Hollywood. And they had gorgeous journals. And these were the journals the angels had been describing to me. And just so you know, it's not as if I had this vision of the journal and then it was there. I'm sure I had seen these journals before. And so as the angels were describing the journals to me, they were probably describing ones I had already seen. So I don't want that to sound too mystical, that I had a vision of the journal and then it was there. I think more likely the journal was there and then the angels used that to help describe the vision. But so I went to Borders and purchased a gorgeous journal. And I'm sure it was expensive, and I was not used to buying expensive journals at that time. It's beautiful. It's pink and has some sequin design on the front and has handmade paper. It's a beautiful journal. And I don't know how you are with your journals, but writing in the first page sometimes feels intimidating, right? Like, oh my God, I've got to write something super important and poignant right now. And so I started this process. Before I read to you some of the entries in the journal, I want to share with you what that process was like, especially if you're going to start doing this too. Sometimes when I'm writing messages from the angels or God, I'm aware of how beautiful and powerful they are. But that doesn't often happen. More often than not, I judge what I'm writing as I write it. And my inner critic goes, blah, 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 this is so trite. We love you. You're beautiful. And I really have to get out of my own way and let the message be born. And close the book. And what I have found over the years is it's usually only later that I can feel the power and the beauty of the message. But while I'm writing it, I cannot judge it, because it's a bit like trying to write a multifaceted historical fantasy novel and edit it simultaneously. It's different parts of our consciousness. So I had learned to just let the messages come forward without attachment, close the pages, and return later. So in reading to you some of the entries from my journal, I really have to come into agreement with myself that I do not have to read you everything. And I can choose and I can edit, and I just have to say that out loud energetically, because over the years I've really had to come into permission when I am sharing things that feel deeply intimate. So I did read a couple of the entries before recording this, and so I'm going to share with you some of the messages I received in my angel journal. And if these messages feel like they're for you too, they are. They are, I promise you. So this is the first entry. Again, remember, I hadn't written anything in this journal yet. This beautiful handmade paper journal. I picked a pink pen. I loved pink. I still do. I think pink is a glorious color. And this is what they write. Welcome to this brave new world, Laurel. We know you are wondering why we are asking you to do this. But some things cannot be revealed at the beginning of a journey. For there is a need for surrender and trust. All the best storytellers know this. You need to let the story of your life reveal itself to you in ordinary moments. It cannot be figured out. Let it surprise you. Let it be messy and wonderful. Dare to take risks. We know how much you value security, but there is magic waiting for you on the other side of all that you know. Allow the unknown to come in the door too. Although conventional wisdom advises you to play it safe, do not listen to fear-based advice. Allow the angels to gently guide you. Trust us, for we are a part of you. You are not separate or alone, but rather you are a gentle, wise, angelic being who agreed to be born into physical form to help many find their way back into the dream of God. You will teach so many. Trust the beings of light who are continually reminding you of the truth of you. Yours is the journey of so many. You are remembering, and it feels like home. Take a deep breath and acknowledge yourself for your willingness to partake in this journey. We celebrate your courage and loving, and we are grateful for all that you are. You are a beloved teacher. Let your flock find you and teach them that they too are connected to God. Remind them of who they really are, just as so many have reminded you until it resonated as truth. And we will continue serving as your mirror of truth. You are loved. And that was my first entry into my angel journal. What's so beautiful about this is before Illuminating Souls was born. This is when the dream of my life's path and Illuminating Souls was just starting to connect with me. I was still working in my muggle job, and I could never have imagined that this would all have come true. I hadn't met my husband yet. I hadn't done an angel reading. It's amazing to me. This journal helped guide me into my life. And I invite you to consider starting your own journal to see what your angels have to say to you. I'll find a few other entries to share with you as well. Okay, here's my next entry, and this I picked a green ink to write in. I don't know why it feels important to tell you that. It just feels like it's part of the journey. Your path is clear. Let it speak to you. Do not try and navigate too far down the road, for there are many things you cannot yet see. Surrender to the bigness of this journey. Surrender to the humble, ordinary moments. You are standing in the space of a new tomorrow. Be willing to reinvent the future with an open heart and buoyant expectations of what the angels have in store for you. Then release this wish into the world like a balloon free to wander the sky at will, soaring on the gusts created upon the wings of angels. So will your life unfold if only you will dream, trust, and release the tiny thread you hold in your hand that signals your desire to control the outcome. Balloons soar much higher when left to their own desire. Set it free and let your dreams soar on the wings of angels. Some may not make it very far, but others will soar so high you may no longer be able to see it with your naked eye. These are the dreams that travel far in the world and resonate in ways you cannot begin to imagine. It is only a tiny thread. Let it go now. Just breathe that in. However this message resonates for you, it's for you too. And just so you know, if you're hearing these messages and you're saying, well, I don't know that I could ever write anything like that, I want you to know that I'm reading these messages and I'm thinking, I don't know that I could ever write anything like that. If I tried to sit down right now and write a message like this, it feels to me like it would be so trite. It's part of the magic of this process. We begin opening up to a different frequency, a frequency that is us and more than us. So this has been my experience of writing an angel journal. So I'll bring another entry forward to you, and this one is written in purple ink. Disengage, disconnect, and allow this chapter to flow through you. Things are moving quickly now. Do not spend time in what might have been. Honor the truth of the moment and listen to the dream of your future. Do not bend this moment to fit your truth so that you can stop living the question. And in that, they're referring to the Rilke quote of living the question. We know how badly you want to arrive at the final answer so that you can drop anchor and rest. But each answer comes cloaked in more questions. That is simply the way. Unless you are willing to accept that love is the only answer there is. But even this answer must be lived into. It is experiential and must be lived into time and time again. Be willing to do this. In the past, you have dropped anchor too early and didn't get to the love everything part. This happens sometimes, especially when it is an answer that is hard to hear or feel. These are the moments when it is important to stay fluid and open to change. They call for a shift in consciousness. You are able to do this now very quickly. Experience living in alignment with your knowing. It will keep you on purpose, on track, and attuned to your heart. Bless it all. Bless it and release the thread. More experiences are coming. And I also thought I would read you this entry. in that recent episode where I shared with you that I did my angel therapy practitioner training in Glastonbury. And while it was wonderful, I didn't have any big mystical aha moments, even though I knew I needed to be there. And this is the entry that I wrote in my angel journal, or better, I channeled in my angel journal after the Glastonbury trip. And I share this with you because I suspect many of us are going through vibrational attunements in this particular chapter of life. So this is what came through. Please release your disappointment that you did not have big thundering experiences in Glastonbury. It is not as it seems. The energy began working with you long before you stepped physical body there. You have been experiencing profound recalibration and attunement during this last year. The trip to Glastonbury, the promise and anticipation of it, the actual experience, all serve to amplify your connection to the energetic grid. You are feeling a sense of separation because you are beginning to realize that this is where your path shifts and you find the way unique to your calling, Spirit's calling. This is the second time in a year's time you've been asked to follow the divine guidance that flows through you. This is not a lifetime where you will follow a roadmap written by others. Yes, you may use them for guidance at times, but then you will need to forge your own path. Allow this to be born through you and as you, for you are birthing this dream with the loving assistance of so many beings of light. Come back to this. It is time. We will help you connect to the vision and support you in letting this beautiful vision have its way with you. All you've ever wanted is wrapped up in this dream. Of this we promise. Blessings of light are all around you. Breathe deeply and let them in. Isn't that beautiful? All you've ever wanted is wrapped up in this dream. And that's true. It's true. Illuminating souls hadn't been born yet. I dreamed of this life I live now. This moment I get to have with you. It's a remarkable one. Thank you for letting me share it with you. And I'm feeling guided to share this entry with you. I have no recollection of what was going on in my life when this came through, but it feels so on purpose to life right now. So I share it with you. Please, sweet one, try and calm your heart. Do not make it so easy for the shadow to have its way with you. It knows you so well, and it knows just what to say to lull you into compliance. But this is all an illusion, a test of epic proportions. See if you can tune it out, and instead attune to the gentle whispers of your soul, and trust that it knows the way. It is easy to be seduced by fear, for there seems to be so much to be scared about. This has been the way throughout the ages. Every fairy tale has darkness the hero must conquer in order to get the life of their dreams. A dark forest, a dragon, a witch, an ogre, standing between them and their heart's desire. Perhaps it will be easier if you can see your fears this way. They are rising up, telling you to go back. But your love, your treasure, your heart's desire lay beyond this moment, beyond this challenge. Just as in fairy tales, know that the postscript reads, and they lived happily ever after. And these challenges will make for powerful storytelling and inspirations of courage and faith. You will be safe through this. We are asking you to walk through big change. And so does the fear feel big. But it is teeny compared with the fire in your soul. You are here to help many. So hang out your shingle and get ready to roll. I guess I must have been getting ready to leave my job and start illuminating souls because I was terrified, and I also knew that I could not live my life not knowing if I could do this work for my career. Oh, I'm so grateful for that past me in 2005 who said yes and gave notice to my job, and I opened Illuminating Souls in January of 2006, so this was all written right around that time. And I don't know, I'll read one more to you. Allow surprising visions, dreams, adventures to be born through you. For you are here to live a life that has yet to be lived. Jump. Go ahead. Leaps of faith will get you to where you want to be. Love this part of the journey, this very part, for this is just the beginning of grand adventure. Sweet girl, the wise woman is coming for you and through you again. Make way in the world for the wisdom and riches that you are to arise like the sun and illuminate the world. For in doing so, you will spark many to rise in kind. You already have. You already are. So surrender to the very essence of the truth of who and what you are. And joy, love, prosperity, and light will abound. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to take a deep breath with you. Thank you, angels. Thank you, angels, for holding my hand through it all and helping me remember who I came here to be in this lifetime. And thank you for this moment where I get to share this encouragement with my beautiful beloveds here. Because these messages are for you too. These messages weren't just for me. That right now, something beautiful is bubbling awake in you, even though you're sleeping. It's a metaphoric awake. You keep sleeping. Something beautiful is moving through you. That we are resilient, magical beings. And the angels are with us now. So thank you for letting me share this intimate part of my heart with you and bring it into the light so we can all remember who we are. So I wish you sweet dreams. I wish you lots and lots of love and inspiration. And we'll talk again soon. I love you. Thank you.